Gosh, it's deathly silence. This is not like normal nurses. Normally we chatter, chatter, chatter. Thank you, Emma. It's an exciting week. I think so. Shall we just make a little bit of a start? Okay. And do you want to do the heads up, or shall I do the heads up?
You carry on, Asha, in your
Thank
delightful
you.
way. Thank you.
You. Welcome everybody to Leicestershire Partnership NHS Trust. This is our week-long celebration celebrating International Nurses Day, which we know is in the middle of the week. So welcome everybody. The session is being recorded, so if you don't want to be on camera or you're eating, etc., please turn your camera off. If you have issues with your camera and slowness, if you turn your camera off, that helps with broadband width. And I am going to hand you over to our Director of Nursing, Dr. Anne Scott, who will also like to give you a warm welcome. Thank you, Anne.
Thank you, Asha. Anita, are you in charge of the slides, I hope?
I am.
I'm afraid that's not one of my skill sets, so if you could put the slides up, please, that would be brilliant. Oh, the etiquette, yeah.
Oh, sorry, Anne, I should have done the etiquette.
Sorry.
So I think we've done that. Is most people know is keep your microphone on mute, please, because as we hear earlier, we can hear all the traffic going past and the lorries. Please use the hands up function when you want to say anything and wait to be invited. A session on questions and answers has been put in at the end of each presentation, but you can also put your comments or your chats in the chat box. And again, re-emphasise, if your connection is really poor, if you turn your cameras off, sometimes that does help. Thank you, Anne. Without further ado, to our Director of Nursing, Dr. Anne Scott.
Thank you, Asha. Right, okay, lovely, thank you. Anita, next slide, thank you very much. So this week is an opportunity to reflect on the work of all of our nursing community. It's also an opportunity to recognise the wide variety of nursing that continues to be provided for our populations from birth to death, in hospitals, in our communities and in the homes of our population. This year's theme for International Nurses Day 2022 is A Voice to Lead, and it identifies the need to invest in nursing to build a resilient, highly qualified nursing workforce and to protect nurses' rights so we can transform health systems to meet the needs of our population now and in the future. Next slide, please, Anita. Thank you. So welcome to this week of celebrations, a week to reflect on how much we have learnt during the pandemic and as we continue to respond to these challenges that we face. Your ongoing compassion, kindness, care and hard work is invaluable and is very, very much appreciated. The pandemic has put a spotlight on nurses globally, and this focus includes not only how nurses have been exposed to the virus, but also the increasing pressures of high workloads, shortages of staff, and at times not always being appreciated. Our health and well-being remains pivotal, as does the need to value each other. Investment in our nursing workforce is fundamental, and I am very proud that we've been able to extend our LPT family following the successful implementation of the International Nurse Recruitment Programme. We have also been exploring new roles and new opportunities within the organisation, and this brings, I suppose, with it different opportunities to develop members of our nursing team with the ongoing commitment to these new roles. For example, training nurse associates, the role of the responsible clinicians and the advanced nurse practitioner roles, and also looking at developing new nurse consultant roles. I'm also really proud that the first cohort of my Director of Nursing Fellowship Programme are due to complete their final module this month. And this has provided an excellent opportunity to advance leadership, quality improvement and research understanding and making further links with clinical practice and academia across our talented workforce. Next slide, please. Thank you, Anita. So, of course, Florence, the reason why we celebrate International Nurses Day and Week is because May the 12th is the anniversary of the birth of Florence Nightingale, and this is widely considered, obviously she's considered widely as the founder of modern nursing, and we've celebrated Florence's birthday since 1965, and this year will be her 202nd anniversary of her birth. And obviously we're celebrating that this Thursday. So we have an exciting programme this week, running all week, and to celebrate International Nurses Day, and we look forward to sharing personal stories, reflections and personal development journeys with you. I do hope that this week you have some time to reflect and pause and celebrate our amazing profession. Thank you all for everything that you do. And now I'll hand over. Thank you.
So thank you, Anne. And what I skipped over is the whole list of week's activities. So before I go on, sorry, Anita, it's probably slide 3 of the week of activities. Thank you. So today is celebrating International Nurses Week today, and we've got international nurses here. Day 2, which is tomorrow, which is a focus in the life of the advanced care nurse practitioner. Day 3 is a celebration of our specialist nurses. Day 4 will be a focus on career journeys with professional Catherine Mason. It's really exciting. I'm really looking forward to coming to that one myself. And day 5 we can conclude with nursing, celebrating past, present and future. So the path forward. So really interesting week for you. Thank you, Anita. So as you know, I'm Asha Day and I'm the International Recruitment Matron at the moment. And I just wanted to give you a flavour of why I ended up in nursing. I didn't really know what I wanted to do. Next slide, Anita, please. So I am part of a team and I have Ranjit Nagra, who is our practice development facilitator. She also provides pastoral support and the OSCE education programme, and Claire Hopkinson, who is our international recruitment officer. So we're a small but very unique team. Thank you, Anita. So when I started nursing back in when people say when God had a dog, you can see me to the right of the nurse in the maroon uniform. That was the clinical educator. And I trained at Sandwell. I didn't really know what I wanted to do, but you know, I'll go into nursing. I've never looked back. Absolutely, it's given me a huge career. It's unleashed my potential that I never thought I had. And also I managed to get a fellowship with the Institute of Health Visitors, of only which there's 100. And that's me as a baby. What's baby? It's probably about 4.5, 5, and a recent immigrant to England. And the picture is actually I got a degree at working part-time, bringing up a family. It was hard work, but absolutely worth it. Thank you, Anita. So what else have I done? I've written in journals, and if I can do it, anybody can do it. My passion was around maternal mental health, and I looked at the Edinburgh postnatal depression scale, particularly in South Asian Punjabi speaking women. It's been internationally recognised and it's used all over the world, apart from England where it was developed, but we have a plan around that. And last week was Maternal Mental Health Week. Next slide, please. So more recently, I've got into equalities work, and that's been probably a fundament of my nursing profession, my nursing career. It's ended up with a couple of articles that we did. One was about the empty echo, and anybody who's female will recognise when you go into a room and you've made a statement and you hear it 3-4 doors down by somebody else and think, actually, I made that statement. So it was my experiences of working at NICE and others. And then more recently, it was the Allies Against Inequality, and that came out due to COVID and what we were doing and the disproportionate effect on our BAME communities. So bringing it all together. Thank you, Anita. So during the pandemic, I was interviewed by Ruth Oshinaku, and she interviewed a lot of nurses and midwives. And through my career, I was absolutely amazed, because what I did do is look at recovery. When we talk about Recovery College, we talk about recovery cafes. Well, actually, I was there right at the beginning when we talked about mental health recovery, when I worked for the Institute of Mental Health for England, and there I am with a couple of my colleagues. And I also got recognised for my work and managed to get a BEM. Gosh, that was amazing for me as a nurse, getting that. But what it did also allow me in nursing, and I've always done qualitative research, I wanted to go back to Alaska. I'd been to Alaska, but I wanted to go back to Alaska to look at leadership and sponsorship. And I did that back in 2019 before the pandemic. Had a fantastic time, but also they talked to me about trauma and trauma-informed care, and how people in leadership roles, if they've come in from other countries or they've had racism, how that affects them in their leadership roles. Thank you, Anita. So we've had lots of stuff, and what I do now is, and we call it IEN, so Internationally Educated Nurses. So we were delighted. You can see Anne and Angela on that screenshot. We brought our nurses in. It was part of Black History Month, so we were happy and fantastic in welcoming them to LPT. We had 30, and you can see some there that went to St Luke's Hospital to their visits, and you can see a snippet of their care packages. Now, the care packages aren't just food and drink, as in squashes. It's also about how we treat them. And the one thing I didn't have to say to our staff was, they said, welcome to the LPT family. And you saw that and you heard it time and time again, welcome to the LPT family. So they felt that they were part of this big organisation. And I'm sat at the Evington Centre, and downstairs the individuals did say, we've worked at UHL, we've worked at different organisations, we won't go back. We want to be here at LPT. And, you know, I couldn't have paid them to do that. And this is why our nurses do stay. And for me, it's about keeping them here. And we'll hear about it in a minute, what we do. So we have a package of care, and it's not just the OSCE. We will do a separate session for you if you want to know about the terms that we use for our nurses, and also the terms that we use. CBT, you'll hear us talk about. You'll hear us talk about OSCE. You'll talk about OETs and IELTS. We can sort of demystify that, but we're probably one of the organisations that offer the best all-round package, and we have been recognised for this, because we did have a letter from NHSEI and Ruth May to say, congratulations, you've actually delivered what you said you would do on the tin. So I think the next slide should be, thank you. That's just a bit more of the package. And what we did, because it was coming up to Christmas and our nurses hit the wards, we wanted to give them a bit more of a package. So they had some chocolates. They had a happy holidays card, because they weren't all Christian, but they also had some hand cream. They had a book and a pen to go off onto the wards. And I don't think our partners were very happy with this, because we gave that as a bit of an extra to do. And there it wasn't just chocolate. We did give them loads of fruit and vegetables as well. Thank you. And what I wanted to say is, today we have got another 7 nurses arriving. So we've not got 30, we've only got 7, and there's major issues with visas. Because of Ukraine, we are struggling with visas. So we are going to get another 4 for this cohort. Hopefully they'll land in the next couple of weeks. But look into the future. We know nurses struggle. We know we've got 50,000 vacancies for registered nurses. So we do have a 5-year IR strategy, international recruitment strategy. So that will be running, and we are going to be looking at getting 60 nurses in per year over the next 5 years, and they will be split between physical health nurses and mental health nurses. I'd like to say a big up and thank you to our community health services, who've had the majority of these inpatient nurses. Most of those nurses are ready to take over the ward or be second in command. Mental health, particularly middle large, a big shout out to them. And we will be looking at more of those, and more nurses in community nursing and in FYPC. Thank you. Okay, I've got Ranjit has done a video for us. As I say, we are expecting nurses to arrive any minute. Thank you, Anita. And whilst Anita's getting our next video clip of Claire Hopkinson, our pastoral support starts before the nurses arrive. So 4 weeks before they arrive into country, our pastoral support starts. And I think the last session we had for our November cohort, we had Duncan Burton, who is in charge nationally of international recruitment. Thank you. If we can play Claire's clip. Thank you. And can I invite Sinini and Reba? Now, Reba is they're both from the November cohort, and Reba is one of the nurses working at Hinckley and Bosworth Community Hospital, and Sinini is working at the Clarendon ward on the Evidence Centre. They're both, I think, in clinical practice today. So Reba, we've literally got 3 minutes. So Reba, just tell me a little bit about yourself and how you've settled in.
Yeah. Good afternoon, all. I'm Reba Cherian. I'm working in Hinckley and Bosworth Community Hospital. Basically, I'm from Kerala, the southern part of India. I have experience in medical surgical department and also outpatient department as well. My previous practice was in Oman. I came here in November last year. When I came here, I was really confused and worried because how I survive without my family, and also at that time NMC introduced a new OSCE structure, so no one have much idea about that. So I was very worried about that. But I came here, I got a lot of support from Asha, Mom, Denjit, and Claire. With their great support only, I achieved my dream to be an RN in the UK. Also, I got amazing OSCE classes. I passed my OSCE in my first attempt itself, and I got my PIN in January. Also, I got a house near my working place. My family reached here in February. My kids started school. I'm almost settled here. And in my ward also, I got great support from my ward manager and my colleagues. All can understand our difficulties and they help us a lot. And now I started to taking patients. Thank you, LPT, choose me, and I'm very happy to part of LPT.
Thank you, Reba. And I understand there's some congratulations in order.
Sorry, ma'am.
There's some congratulations. Are you team member of the month?
Yeah, I got. It means a lot, ma'am.
It does, and we're really, really proud of you. Thank you, Reba. And Sinini, can I just add before Sinini comes in, Sinini is our most experienced international nurse. She has 19 years worth of clinical experience. So Sinini, you're at the moment at the Evington Centre. So please come in, Sinini.
Okay, thank you for having me. My name is Sinini, as she has said. I'm a UK Band 5 registered nurse now. I'm so happy. And I want to extend my greatest gratitude to Chade, to Ranjit, and Clay, and everyone else who have been working on the background for us to achieve our goals in the UK. And as we always celebrate the International Nurses Day today, I just want to say I'm so thankful to all the support that we got. You know, the fears from home, when you don't know where you're going, and from the day that we landed in the UK, there was amazing support. We were collected from the airport, and at times you're wondering, am I going to get a place to sleep in? All was arranged, and we had to have food packs and everything. We're so thankful to all that you have done to us. And the fear of the OSCE as well. So much was sacrificed for us as we prepared for OSCE. And I'm glad I'm one of the first who attempted the OSCE, and I passed on the first attempt. And from there, we're just wondering, how am I going to move to a new place to get my family? So there's continued support from the ward in Evington. My manager, Amy, thank you so much. It's been amazing. And she's supporting us even outside work to say, do you have a place to stay? And even in the Glencoe area, you've got fears, how am I going to integrate with the skills that I've acquired, as she has said, for 20 years? Am I able to be an efficient nurse and provide compassionate care? But I can say the support has been so amazing from all around, and I'm prepared to take this journey as a UK registered nurse. And to all the other international nurses, we're so proud of you, the sacrifices that we have done so much, and we are prepared to step to greatness. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Sinani. Thank you for saying what you've done. That was really, really kind of you. We're here to provide a service, and you're part of that service, and you're part of that nursing family, which is the wider LPT family. So thank you for that. And I think we've got our next slide, introduction. So we are now running 3 minutes late, so I apologise. I'm going to go straight through to introduce our next speaker, Lynn Rowe, who's an advanced clinical practitioner. So Lynn, please take the floor. Have we got Lynn?
Bear with me.
Okay. I can't see her in the meeting chat.
Oh, dear. Hi, can you hear me?
I can hear you, thank you.
Right, okay, I'm having problems with my headphones. That's probably okay. So thank you for inviting me today. I wanted to have a very brief discussion and share you my experiences of almost opposite to what my colleagues have been talking about is their experience of coming to England and helping us with our providing our clinical placements. I wanted to share that my experience of working abroad and going to, if anybody doesn't know, is Ethiopia, and sort of spending some time in the north part of the country in a place called Gondar, which is one of the second largest cities in Ethiopia. I've obviously been a member of the charity since 2009, when I was invited across to share my experience, really. So next slide. I'm not sure whether you can see this, but for me, this was quite alarming. I mean, when I first went to Gondar and got invited, there was actually this is some data from WHO, World Health Organization in 2020, which is obviously increased when it looks at the population. But when I went to Gondar, there was no psychiatrists, and there were 2 psychiatric nurses trying their hardest to run an outpatient clinic, and sort of for a population within Gondar and the region of over 5 million people. So they had the work cut out. And what I discovered was mental health nursing particularly wasn't the most attractive. It was a real interesting eye-opener to find out that people just didn't want to be mental health nurses. So me coming along, they was quite surprised that I'd actually chosen this as my given career. So next slide. Okay. So this is just a little bit of background, really. As I say, we've been in operation. This is a very small charity that was set up between LPT, UHL and Leicester University way back in 2000 and, well, we're celebrating our 25 years this year. And but the mental health side has only been in operation since 2008, when we were invited initially to look at training medical students and postgrad students, and then as we got there, they were just starting a degree programme for nurses and mental health specifically, and but they had no idea how on earth they were going to put this programme together. They'd got the funding, they'd got the money, they'd got the enthusiasm, but they just hadn't got the curriculum. Hence myself and a colleague, some of you may know Dr. Heather Dipple, we went along and tried to help them put together a 4-year programme for their degree programme, specifically for mental health nurses. So next slide. So, okay. So obviously, oh, you've thrown me a little bit there. That's not what my slide looks like. Sorry. So this is, that's a shame really, because this is, there was a picture attached to that, and I'm very proud of, no, the next slide, because as I say, we secured funding in 2008, and I went along in 2009 to look at developing the curriculum, and that was a real interesting and quite a challenging time that I found is particularly speaking language issues. Although I should say that the universities do expect their students to all have a good level of English. It was certainly a challenge sort of delivering a mental health programme, because they were very much keen to develop our Western views on psychiatry. So next slide. I don't know where my pictures are gone, but so as I say, so from 2009 to 2011, the focus of my visits were sort of helping this programme and leading on this programme, because they just didn't have any senior lecturers at the university. So I'm proud to say this was my the first graduates of the programme that I helped sort of in the early days of our charity. And these guys obviously came to Gondar. They left their families, and then they were just dispersed around Ethiopia to all the parts. They didn't have any control over where they were going. You know, it was really interesting to see the politics involved when it comes to sort of how nurses are recruited and where they are placed. So when I went back the following year, I think there was about two or three that had been remained in Gondar. The rest had obviously gone off to sort of try and support and promote and develop services around Ethiopia. Okay, and next slide. Okay, I think for me what was really interesting is trying to introduce new ways of not just working but also delivering and teaching. I was very interested to see that they were that the students were very used to very rote learning and their exams. But to me, this was just really not compatible. You know, when it comes to sort of mental health curriculum. So I and my colleagues, we introduced different ways of working, and I was really pleasantly surprised how much they embrace this, you know, developing their own sort of teaching packages. They really liked the role play, which I thought was quite interesting, because I know as in my training, and I'm sure we used to always shy away from it if we could, but they really embraced that, and I think it really helped them embed what we were trying to, you know, the learning aspects and understand their particularly their communication skills. So I was really pleased to see that, because I thought the culture, what I learned is Ethiopians are very shy, very quiet and not very outgoing sort of individuals. So to take this on board, and yeah, it was real pleasant to see. Okay, next slide. Okay, again, shame my pictures are not there, but it was just to sort of the challenges that I faced, because obviously there's lots of politics, and if I try and share with you, when students are selected for university courses, they don't actually pick. We pick where we want to go. What I was quite surprised is that the government decide which course you're doing, whether you're going to go down your medical training, whether you're going to be a midwife, whether you're going to be a general nurse, etc. Sadly, mental health nursing was seen right at the bottom. And so their command of English was probably not the best. Medical students would probably have the highest sort of skill base in that. So that was really an interesting trying to get across some of the lectures and some of the sort of the practicals and the role play between English and Amharic. And in some ways, it gave me an opportunity to slow down, not just because, I've been in a pressurized job as we are when we run around and we're quite stressful. Going over there, it was just a different pace, and it really helped me sort of utilize some of those skills coming back into my current role. So, as I say, I think going over there, it really aspired. I'd like to think it inspired some of the students, because they didn't feel that they were quite surprised when they saw me, thinking I'd chosen to go into my mental health nursing. It's something that I wanted to do. I was an adult nurse initially, and then I moved over to mental health. It's usually the other way around over there. They like to aspire to be a general nurse and progress in that respect. So I think I was, considered a very positive role model for them, and also to realise that they are just as valued as our medical colleagues. That they've got the skills, they've got the knowledge, and they've got the ability, and not to sort of demise themselves. Okay, so what you saw there at the very end was the challenges we had. A lot in the early days, we had a problem with clinical placements and getting them to have experience. We had this outpatient unit, which saw patients sort of in one room. It was one room, 2 nurses. If you needed to see anybody, they were mainly on the general hospital wards, which was horrendous. It's a real eye-opener, and it makes you appreciate some of the environments that we have today in the UK. Next slide. Okay, so I'll skip on that one. Next, because you haven't got the pictures. What we had to, we were talking a lot with our colleagues in Gonda and in the hospitals, and asking how we can support them. And one of the issues they wanted was to have a small inpatient unit. And because the nearest hospital was in Addis, and you're talking, on a good day, you're talking 16-hour journey by car. That's if the roads are passable. So, and it was a real challenge to actually even access a bed in the capital. So we listened to what they was asking for, and we did some fundraising, and it took us about 3 or 4 years with the help of very generous colleagues within LPT. We did a lot of fundraising, and we managed to get, I think, with some help outside the trust, about £40,000 in order to help contribute towards opening this 8-bedded unit. So this is the ceremony we had just before in November 2013. So this was really exciting, because they had an opportunity to have specific beds to support and care for people with mental health problems, rather than having to be sharing an orthopedic ward or a gynae obstetrics, midwives. It was just not compatible. So next slide. Do for time. So next slide. Okay. So the other thing that they asked for is that we shifted away from working at the university, and we wanted to sort of invest in the clinical staff and make them feel valued and keep their skills. So one of the issues that we we noted was obviously it is to do with the lack of medicine and also dealing with challenging behaviour, which if some people have seen on the media and seen that there's a lot of situations which you can't get away from, is where, you know, they have to chain. They chain people. They use metal, horrendous chain. And I went out to one village where this young man had been chained for about 6 months in the home because the mother and father were fearful about him running away, and he was quite a disturbed young man. So what we did with my colleagues from what used to be the MAPA team, we went over there and we tried to offer them some alternative approaches to managing challenging behaviours. So next slide, you might see some pictures. I hope that's why I put the pictures on, as you can see here. And it's interesting, the trust we're supposed to be piloting is these Velcro straps. Because obviously there was no seclusion there, where we didn't have a seclusion room. None of them really understood the concept of managing challenging behaviour. They relied heavily on families to do this, and as you can see, this is on the ward. That picture at the top was actually on the ward that the parents brought him in and with chains. So we introduced some Velcro, some sort of and looked at alternative approaches to train, and the staff really embraced this. That it was really found this very beneficial. Next slide.
Lynn, can I just say 2 minutes?
Yeah, okay. So unfortunately, we've had a bit of a hiatus, as I'm sure everybody knows, with COVID, and fortunately that there's a political upset in Ethiopia. So from 2020, we've not been able to fulfill this part of the programme. And one of the things that we managed to do was we secured them a vehicle. That vehicle is now, well, I'd like to think it's still in Gonda. We were going to help the nurses to deliver a mental health programme as part of the recommendations from WHO, in order to try and educate and destigmatise mental health. We started it, but unfortunately that has been interrupted with the war that's going on there at the moment. So I do try and communicate with them through Facebook, but again, the politics of that is very hit and miss. Next slide, very quickly. Is there another slide? This is just again working in partnership, and I really found this powerful, meeting spiritual leaders and traditional healers and community leaders, trying to demystify mental health, and they were really receptive to what we were doing in England, and it was a real a healthy conversation about reducing stigma around mental health and how they can try and, these individuals, help promote positive mental health and get people to come and have treatment sooner rather than later. Okay, next slide. I think that's it. Okay, so yeah, so sorry I'm running over, but yes, so thank you.
That was fascinating.
It's very difficult to try and focus on what I wanted to share because there's been such a lot in the last 10 years. Okay.
Thank you, Lynn. That was absolutely superb, and it does give me some reminiscence of some of the work that I'd done. And please come and talk to me about the Somali experience. And we've got people all over the world that can help you maybe if you twin with them, and they do talk about recovery in those particular communities and talking to shaman and religious leaders, etc.
Yeah, that's what. Yeah.
Brilliant, thank you.
Okay.
So without further ado, if there's no questions, I can't see any questions in the chat box, maybe we can visit them right at the end of the session. I want to just introduce Eva and Nirmala, who are practice development nurse and a community learning disabilities nurse, to talk about their experiences. So I don't know who's up first, it will be on the slide. So it's Nirmala.
Hi, good afternoon all, and happy International Nurses Week. I'm Nirmala Pillai, currently working as a practice development nurse in mental health services for older people. This is my second home. My career journey, this is me graduated as a nurse and midwife in 1986. I worked in all clinical units, including gynec and midwifery, labor room, theater, and came to England in 2005 with 19 years of experience in clinical field. When I came to 2005 directly to LPT, 6 months I couldn't go near to the medicine trolley, and also the culture was completely different, and I had almost cultural shock. And then I have to, because I left the family, my husband and 2 children behind, and came to England. After coming here, I completed adaptation nursing and also bachelor in diploma in mental health nursing, and obtained a degree in nursing from De Montfort University. I worked in different roles: student nurse, adaptation nurse, registered mental health nurse, and then charge nurse, and now currently working as practice development nurse. Well, I'm a lifelong learner, and completed a basic computer course also that helped me to survive in the new now digital era. Currently now I'm doing working towards to achieve a diploma for leaders and managers. Next slide, please, Nita. This is me in 2005 and 6 period, and graduation as a mental health nurse, and then receiving a qualification as a degree in nursing from De Montfort. So I'm a dual qualified registered nurse. So this is me in 2005 to 2014 as a staff nurse, me as a deputy ward manager. Now the title has changed into charge nurse. Next slide, please. So this is me as a ward manager, and we all received from LPT the heroes for COVID heroes as recognized. And I had the opportunity to open a COVID red zone ward for our patients when the COVID started. So worked as a manager on 2 different wards. It's the same at Evington Center. Next slide, please. Okay, being an international nurse and working in England, still able to follow my own culture and festivities. This is before COVID. So had a chance to do some sweet dishes for staff and share with the staff, and also had a time with the family and from the Kerala community, having an Onam celebration. That is one of our important festival. Also had the opportunity from LPT. I never thought that I will be able to learn how to make bread. Also had an opportunity to learn dance. These are my relaxation tools for me to survive in the current NHS. Next slide, please. So I'm one of the change champion for LPT. This is also was an eye opener for me. Had an opportunity to meet many leaders and managers and many team members, and working together, did many focus group, and contributed towards the appraisal process and the leadership behaviors in LPT. And I'm able to transfer all that what I learned from that group and what I employ into the team and into the contributor towards to all the staff working in mental health services for older people. Next slide, please. This is, I did a reflection along with my colleagues from 2005, and did a reflection on my nursing journey coming to the UK. And it is published in New Zealand Nursing Journal. And because I put this title, I chosen this title. The building looks like a mansion, but feel like a prison. Because after having all this, because healthcare system and social care system in England is completely different, and also the building, we live in an open house, with means we close only the windows and doors at night. And after coming here, I had to use all the code and all. Couldn't find a window in my room. It was in basement, but it was a very beautiful building. So that is the reason I put that one there. But with hard work, determination, and the support of many people in and out of LPT, and with the support of my family, I managed to survive, and we are now currently working as a practice development nurse across MSOP. Next slide, please. This is a quote I would like to share to all especially to the nurses new to LPT. A bird sitting on a tree is never afraid of the branch breaking, because her trust is not on the branch, but on its own wings. Always believe in yourself. Next slide, please. So thanks for listening. Enjoy your day and week. Thank you.
Thank you, Nirmala. I always say her name wrong, so please forgive me. And can we have Eva?
Hello, everyone. My name is So my name is Eva Quaten. Mine is slightly different, and I'm not going to actually do a presentation, so I'll be talking through it. So I am a learning disability nurse with 2 years experience. So I qualified. I started my nursing journey in 2017 at De Montfort University. So for me, I didn't have any care background at all. So, but I've always felt I had a teaching background. So, but along the way, throughout my life, I felt that, oh, I've got that. I felt that I'm a nurse and I needed to pursue that career. So finally, after so many thoughts about what I wanted to do, even though I was teaching, in 2017, finally, I decided to make an application to De Montfort University, which I was successful, and I started my nursing journey as a student nurse. So I completed in March 2020. That was in the midst of COVID-19. That was really challenging for me because for me, as an LD nurse, it was a community base. I was working with people with learning disability in the community. So qualifying at that time, and for us, we were supposed to be seeing, patients in their homes. That's where we were providing the intervention and them coming to us. So during that time, it was kind of a challenge for me because I had to learn different ways of, seeing patients or different ways of working with them, because we couldn't do the face-to-face interventions anymore. But throughout that time, it really built my resilience as a nurse, because I have to adapt to so many things. And even though it was challenging, but it was...
See me in the...
Sorry?
I'll let you go, Rob.
Can we mute mics, please? Thank you.
Should I carry on?
Yes, Eva. Sorry about that.
Thank you. Yeah. So even though, that time was challenging, but I was able to build more resilience as a nurse. So after 1 year of being qualified, I've always had this interest in research. Since I was at the university, that was one of my favorite topics. So once the Director of Nursing Fellowship Program was advertised, I saw it as an opportunity for me to develop my career in quality improvement and leadership skills, because I was still new I mean, being qualified just for as a last year, for 1 year, I was still new in my career. So I saw it as a great opportunity for me to develop myself as a nurse. I didn't really know what it was about, but I told myself, looking at quality improvement and leadership skills, I thought it would be something very interesting and something very good for my career. So I became part of the first fellow of Director of Nursing. Since I've been part of the fellow, I've learned so many things, so many sessions about research, about leadership, quality improvement. Now I am undertaking a quality improvement project in my clinical area where I am reviewing the intervention that we give to our service users and our discharge processes, because mostly when referrals are made to us, they come back again after they've been discharged. And since I joined the team, that is something that I realized that, oh, we've seen this patient, we just discharged him or her in about 6 months ago, why are they back? So I saw that as an opportunity to look into that, to do a quality improvement project in that area. I'm still doing it. I mean, it's really interesting, all the learning and everything. So that has been a great opportunity and it's something that I'm doing, and hopefully in future, I hope that I can pursue further this interest in future. And also, being part of this Director of Nursing Fellowship has given me the opportunity to write an opinion piece to be published, yet to be published at Nursing Times, which I never thought I would be able to do. Writing an opinion piece, I was like, oh, this is not me. But after completing a piece and sharing it with Lizelle and my clinical and academic mentors, I feel proud of myself of doing that. So so far in my journey, 2 years now since being a nurse, not so long as other people, but I'm really enjoying it, and I'm so proud of myself working with people with learning disability. It's slightly different to somehow different to mental health nursing or general nursing. It's kind of different skill sets altogether, but I'm really enjoying it, and I'm proud to be a learning disability nurse at this stage. So that is my journey so far, just 2 years into nursing. So thank you very much for giving me this opportunity to share my story.
Thank you, Eva. One of the things that I am hearing from all of our nurses is this drive and this ambition, and you know what's come from you and from Lynn and from Nirmala is this compassion that you want to do stuff, and it's not just for yourselves, it's for the betterment of our patients and for our trust. The other thing is you're all thriving. You're not surviving, you're thriving, which is something else. We don't want our nurses just to survive. We want you to thrive. And what you've just done is give an example of what the Director of Nursing Fellowship has allowed you to do, is find that passion where you're really going to be good at. And actually, 2 years since qualifying, you're writing, you've got this passion for research, you're going to be, you know, you've written for the Nursing Times. That's fantastic. That's absolutely superb. And you are a role model for our next generation, or even the role, or people who've said, actually, I've been here 5 years, 15 years. Eva can do it, and Eva can do it within so many years of qualifying. Absolutely everybody can do it. So I really want to say thank you very much for sharing that. And it's your stories have been full of this, not surviving. I don't want to hear that. What I want to hear is that the survival, not the thrival. I want to write a thrival guide for LPT, and it's about capturing all those stories. So we're really proud of what you've done. So I think, Lou, are you going to get the panel together, because we have some questions and answers for the panel?
Yeah, thanks, Sasha. I'm not sure if Lynn's been able to stay with us because I know she has some clinical commitments.
I am still here
Oh,
for the next. Yeah.
Thank you. So if anybody wants to ask any questions to any members of the panel, If you use the hand reaction, it just helps us to do it in order, or you can alternatively post any questions in the chat box and we'll put them to each of the individual panel members. But again, a huge thank you to all of you for presenting. I mean, your stories are inspirational and very courageous, and I'm sure they'll have a lasting impact after today as well. So thank you. So again, I'll just check the box and see if we've got any.
So, Louise, I think there was a question for Lynn about learning and perhaps going back and how we can take that forward.
So I can put it to you directly, Lynn, now. Thank you. Now
Okay.
that you've
I think the challenges at the moment of going back is and keeping the momentum is, unfortunately, there is some military conflict going on. Positive news is that the area that is moved from red, which was the government said it's a no-go, to like an amber colour, but insurance-wise, we're not covered, so we're really much relying on waiting what the government says, our government, to go back. We have thought about doing things like this, MS Teams, etc., and keeping in contact. Unfortunately, the government control the internet, so it's very hit and miss. We have a real challenge. You know, I try and keep in touch with some of my friends and colleagues over there, but it's very hit and miss. So we have spoke about this, of trying to do some education online. But so yeah, we're still hopeful, you know, as while I'm still fit and healthy, then yeah, watch this space. And we're always looking for recruits. I need some fresh people with a bit more energy. You know, I can't carry on doing this forever.
Thanks, Lynn, and again, thanks for sharing.
Yeah,
really inspirational. So I'm going to go over to Ruth's question there, and you've asked Ruth if there's anything more we could have helped with our international nurses and just understanding, you know, for next learning really. And it'd be good to get that back from our international nurses, or Asha, if you've had that collectively.
What we have done is every part of the international nurse recruitment journey, Ruth, we've evaluated to say what we're doing, how we're doing, how can we do it better for next time. Our international recruits are very thankful for in the first instance. They don't come up with, can we do this, can we do that? So we have to second guess what they're doing or what they want. And say, because I don't want just positive comments. I would like, actually, maybe you need to do this. The one thing they said out of their package of foods that they came in with, and can we have some more rice? So in this time round, we've included more rice. And some of them were saying, actually, can you give us a rice cooker? And I'm thinking at £25 a head, I don't think we can afford that. So we've talked about cooking rice, etc. And we're looking at other ways that we could improve their lot, as it were. But I think, and Jane Martin sort of just prompted me, is that I think what I'd like to do is accelerate their learning into ULearn. So when they started, they knew what ULearn was. They were doing it before they got onto the wards. And I think we need to get them into the supervision, whether it be management supervision or clinical supervision. So when we do that supervision with them, because we do it through their 6-week period before they hit the wards, is actually show them how to actually record it on ULearn, and then that's something else that they don't have to do. They really, really want a face-to-face event, as in they've graduated, they've gone through their OSCEs, and they want a graduation ceremony, which is great, but how do I get 30+ people in a room without masks, etc., especially when the free rooms are either all booked or, because we have to share county hall, been told I can't have county hall. The big, what I'd call there's a big room called the chamber that the councillors sit in, although I think Angela Hillary has said use my name and see if you can get it that way. But they do miss that, that interaction with their fellows. But at the moment, because the package, and I have to say it, we have got the best package in the Midlands. I won't say in the country, definitely in the Midlands, because what I did was looked at all the gold star that was being delivered across the country and said, that's what we'd like for our nurses. And it's because India was closed. We couldn't recruit for 6 weeks. So we got the packages together and the evaluations together. So we're learning from this cohort's going through, and the preceptorship won't be for the next cohort as long. We'll transform it into a transition package, but we need them to evaluate. So actually, this was the best bit, this wasn't. But thank you for asking that question. Thank you.
Thanks, Sasha. I'm going to go to Reba. If Reba, you're still with us, and then it's a question Emma's asked, so it'd be good directly from you, really. It's the one thing that we could all do to ensure that we support you. And I don't want to put you on the spot, so you feel free to have a think about this, Reba.
Sorry, ma'am.
So if there's one thing that we could do to support you more, what would it be? What would be on your wish list?
Actually, I got enough support, which I never expect when I came here. So I got enough support, and I don't know how to tell. Yeah, it's enough for me. I'm started to taking patients. My family came here. I'm okay. I'm fine now.
Thank you, Reba. Thank you. I'm going to move us on to Jane. So Jane, you'd asked about what's the learning from the Don Fellow programme and how do we share this more widely. And I can come to Eva for your personal experience, really, and then over to Anne, if that's okay, based on obviously the closing of this first programme, to understand that. That'd be helpful. Thank you.
Yeah, so for the in terms of the learning for me, I think for all of us, looking back at our clinical areas, there are areas that we can make improvement in. So when I started this program, I wasn't sure. I was like, oh, what should I do as my project? But then I realized that, oh, there are a lot of things that I've identified as areas of improvement, but I didn't know how or where to start from. So this give me the opportunity, knowing where to go, registering my project at Life QI, looking for data, information, where to start from, and the measures to put in place to make sure that the improvement project is going to be successful. So for me, it's about identify that area of improvement and how to make things better initially, then to later the opportunity of going into research, into clinical academia. So there is a lot to be learned, and I'm still learning. So yeah.
Thank you, Ava, because I say you've done so much in such a short space of time. You must be extremely proud of yourself. So well done.
Thank you.
And Anne, is there anything you want to add? I know we've got a session, as I say, further on in the week.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks. A really good question. Thanks, Jane. Well, you know, each Don Fellow has their own learning from this. But in terms of learning generally, I think the learning is we're going to do it again and again and again. We are going to open it up to allied health professionals so that our next cohort will be open up to other clinicians, not just nursing. And also, I think we're now on the map nationally. So this morning I opened up with Jo Cooper, who is the National Research Lead, working with Ruth May, our clinical academic celebrations today. So, you know, our Don Fellows were there, a majority of them were there this morning. And, you know, we're on the map now around what that looks like. I think it really opens up opportunities for our staff to have availability, access, and some time to really consider how we translate what I would call sort of theory to practice and really make it aligned with trust objectives. And I think our Don Fellows in the first cohort have really set a high marker and, you know, some really big footsteps to follow in. So I really look forward to seeing what the next year and the next cohort deliver, because it's really exciting stuff. And Eva's article, I had the pleasure of pre-reading it, Eva, and I look forward to seeing it in publication. But that's just a taster of some of what the guys are doing. There's a number of different projects that they're all leading on all aligning to service and organisational objectives around quality improvement and essentially making better care, you know, making it better for our patients and their families. So yeah, well done, Eva. I hope that answers Jane. I can't see Jane on screen, so I hope that answers your question, Jane.
Hi, Anne. Yes, thank you. But I have to have my camera off because my connection is really poor. But yes, thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thanks, Sam. So I'm going to move on to Kathy's question now. And you've asked, Kathy, how are the families of the international nurses enjoying their time in England? And as you quite rightly say, it's key to them feeling at home here and feeling happy and retaining them for the future. So if I can come to Asha and then Reba, that would be really helpful. Thank you.
Thank you. What we try to do with our staff who've got families is we try to support them right from the beginning in terms of, please don't, if you can, not bring your families with you because you'll be under pressure to do the OSCEs, and then we will support you. And I know that Reba has since brought a family over and they've looked at schools, as are all the other nurses. So I think that question really, maybe Reba can answer.
So, initially, I was found difficult because I was not like independent in India, because I always asking help for my husband to do things. But I think it is better to come without family, because when I came here, I got support from the IR team, and also I learning by myself how to stand by my own. So now I am very confident to do things without asking help to my husband. And they came here after 3 months. So my husband, actually, he was really surprised when he saw me. Oh, this much you can do. So I proud myself. So it is always better to come alone here without family.
And Reba, you're quite right, because when I met you and your husband, because I went out and met Reba and somebody else from there and her family, and your little girl was really outgoing and your older son was really, really quiet, and I thought it would be the other way around. And they'd started school, one of them had started school, and your husband said, right, that's it, I didn't realise she was this independent, I've got to get her driving now. And you don't normally hear that. You don't hear that of Indian nurses. They normally can't drive. They rely on their partners to do most of the work. So it's really interesting to see how Reba has grown in herself before her family arrived.
Thanks, Sasha. Thanks, Reba. That's really great to hear that, actually. It's such a positive, impactful story. So thank you. Asha, I'm going to go over to you now to close. But before we do, I just wanted to thank Anita for all the work that she's put in pulling the programme together, as well as all the presenters today. So over to you, Asha. Thank you.
Thank you. It's always the people who are behind the scenes that make the scenes work. So again, my personal thanks to Anita, and thankfully we didn't have another set of videos, so thank you. But thank you to all our presenters. And we have heard that, you know, nursing is an absolutely fantastic profession, whether you choose it because you've seen it by example, or whether you choose it because it chose you, because that's the route I came. It chose me, and I have never looked back, and other people are saying they've not looked back, and sort of leaving the mantle to the next generation. And the next generation are full of passion, compassion. They want to thrive to be the best, and we thrive to be the best organisation. I'm very competitive, Anne, as you know. Want to be the first, want to get it right every time. So without further ado, I just want to close, but I want to close with one last bit, and it's particularly because we're talking about international nurses, and from the last cohort we had in November, I can say the least qualified nurse had over 2 years of experience. The most qualified nurse you've heard today was Sinani, who had 19 years of experience. On average, most of them have 7 years clinical experience. That's an awful lot. So we are absolutely thankful to them for coming over and being without their families. We've got our first wedding of our international nurses. We can't all go to Corella, but we will join on video link, I'm sure, with one of the nurses who's going back home to get married, then she'll come back. But it's been an absolute delight, and thank you for sharing everything. And my last plea, I suppose, would be maybe we need to look at our internationally educated nurses who are over now, looking at specifically a Don Fellowship, and look at the criteria, what they can do and how they can get on board. Let's sort of triangulate that learning from them, and they will be doing quality improvement projects as part of their preceptorship. So at the end of the year they will be presenting that, and we will be looking to see how we can reward them in terms of their experience of expertise that they bring over with them. So thank you for today. We look forward to seeing you tomorrow. It's the same time tomorrow, isn't it, Louise? 1 o'clock. So please do join. Bring a friend or bring two, because this is a really important week for us all. So thank you. See you soon.
Thank you, Asha.
Thank you.
Bye, everyone.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. That's brilliant. Thank you.
Thank you, Anita.
No props.
That went okay in the end.